27. I am co-hosting tonight with, of
Yes.
course, your regular schmegular guy, Brandon. And our guest for tonight is Miss Chard'e.
Yes.
And she's going to give us some wonderful gems in regards to the nonprofit and how
Yes.
it may not be the time for you to do it or not. So she's going to let us know all the tea.
Yeah.
All right.
Sip, sip.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Speaking of sip, sip.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I'm just excited that I get to finally pull up.
Oh, no, listen.
Pull up on yes. So it's definitely so many things that have caught my attention throughout the years that have my passion. I'm a very passionate person. And so deciding to be an entrepreneur was kind of difficult to an extent because I just did not know what I wanted to do. And I say that saying that I wanted to do everything.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm glad I said,
That's
let's start from the beginning, okay?
Yes.
So, in high school, did you say to yourself, what did you want to be when you were in high school?
So when I was in high school, I wanted to be the person on Law and Order. So the person on Law and Order who would go into court and they would testify to tell you whether or not the criminal was like crazy or competent.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to be the person to interview the criminal. I wanted to. I shouldn't say criminal because not all of them are criminals. Some of them are we're not guilty. But I wanted to be able to interview, assess the situation, see kind of what their mental health was like, and then provide kind of a recommendation to the court.
Okay.
Wow.
That is what I wanted to be. And so I ended up Googling kind of like, what is the Asian guy?
Mm-hmm.
I ended up
Oh,
Googling,
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's the Asian guy.
Yeah.
I see him. Hey, how you doing? So I ended up Googling what that was, and it was a forensic psychologist. And so I also Googled how long they in school for, and I was like, well, Lord, let's do something else.
Was it that long?
I mean, it's a nice ride.
Wow.
You know, it's kind of like it's like going to medical school. You know,
Wow.
so
I
yeah, it's
would've
like a
never
whole,
thought
it's a
that.
whole thing.
Okay.
And so I actually decided, because it was between that and a lawyer, and law also takes a while. So after I really dug into kind of what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, I realized that it was people. I really just wanted to support people like in every capacity. I come from a family of educators, and so of course education was at the top of my list, but I realized that educators are oftentimes limited to the classroom. Lawyers are limited to the courtroom. You know, people had their limitations of where they could support people. But social work, we literally are everywhere.
That's
and
good.
this month is Social Work Month and Women's Month.
Oh. Well, yeah. Did not know that.
And so, you know, I am both. Hey. And so that's really what pushed me to go into social work, because I knew, one, that there was a lot of things on my heart that I wanted to do. There were a lot of like populations and communities that I wanted to support, and I knew I did not want to go back and forth to school. So I was like, I need to pick a career and a degree that will allow me to go in and out of different areas without having to return to school or get new licensures.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I did my research on social work, that is 100% what I'm able to do.
That's good.
So that's what I did. I ended up going to college, got my master's, I went to HBCU, Oakwood University. It's in Huntsville, Alabama. And I got my degree in social work, and then went on to get my master's here at Cleveland State University, and literally have done just that. Floated in and out of different areas, different facets of social work throughout my career, from school-based mental health to corrections, to being a court advocate, to grant writing or grant manager, to being a trainer in professional development. I've worked in hospitals. So I've really done it all
you've been
like I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And so, yes, and that's kind of how I decided what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, because I needed it to center around people and being able to be relevant to people regardless of where their location is. I didn't want to be confined to a specific location.
Okay. That's understandable.
I got the title episode just now, you know what I'm saying? Help others without limits.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Oh, genius.
Yeah, you know, that's good stuff. So, okay, and I'm glad that you spoke upon that. So let me ask you this, because I feel like your business, or not your business, I feel like when God gives you your business idea, it kind of goes hand in hand with your gift. Would you say that was the case for you?
Absolutely. Once again, trying to figure out, because I don't know about anybody else, but my business was an accident. Like it kind of just.
Oh no!
That's
Talk about that.
My business was just an accident. I was just living life and doing ministry, and I realized that the ministry was profitable. And so it started because I worked in a juvenile corrections facility, and the young men were ranged between the ages of 13 to 20. And so these are young men who have been incarcerated. So they're doing extensive amount of time. And many of them would leave, if they got what's called juvenile life, they would leave on their 21st birthday. And so at midnight, they would walk out.
Wow.
Walk out. Who knows who's picking them up, right? But what are you doing if you just spent 4 years in prison and it's your 21st birthday? What you think you about to do? So needless to say, mind you, they've grown so much, so some of them didn't even have clothes. So they would walk out whatever they had on while they're in the facility, and it was just really, it really got to me that one, there wasn't a lot of culturally competent programming in the facility for them, and there also wasn't resources allotted to them for when they were released. So I found that I tell people all the time that my boys at the juvenile prison, they really shaped and molded me into the clinician and the person I am today, because I went to school to be a social worker. They did a great job teaching me. I show up to do this work, and then they're like, hey, do this book, do this curriculum. And I learned very quickly that these young men who were sitting in front of me, they were not about to listen to me if I were to read from this book.
No, not at all.
I was like, this ain't gonna work. And I don't know what my boss thought this was, but I am not the one. This ain't it. And I knew right then and there that the only way that I could be effective is if I made relevant connections.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
people do not care what you know until they know how much you care, right? And that is really like the life model that I live by. And by me living by that model, so many times people will say, how is it that, you're able to get these young men to participate in your group or to engage or things of that nature? And I said, well, we all have the same information, right? Because we all have the same information. We have the same resources. We have the same education. However, we have to be competent enough to identify which information is relevant to them in that moment.
That's good.
And so if I don't start off with what's relevant for you, then I'm never going to reach you, and we're not going to go anywhere. So even if the curriculum says this, or if my plan in my mind says this, but this over here is what's relevant, I gotta go here first. I gotta go here first, because at the end of the day, it's still a part of the plan. Right? It's still a part of the plan. It's just a different way to get there. And the only way we're going to engage, the only way we're going to be effective is if I meet you where I connect with you where it's relevant. And so that's really where I started my relevant connections. I started writing grants in order to get programming in the jails for the boys. I started writing grants in order to have them have care packages for when they leave. My church played a very significant role in that. I went to the warden because definitely there's some relational boundaries there just because of where I work and things like that. But when it comes to the faith community, if you do things through the faith community, that is one of the things that kind of separate that boundary.
Shout out to Pastor Kyle, by the way.
Yes.
Pastor Kyle, if you guys haven't seen episode, I should know that was about a heart. Pastor Kyle has been on the show. If you guys aren't, go see City of God. Yes, great church to be at. So so I started writing the grants in order to get these informations for these things out to them, and it just happened. And I realized very quickly that I love this stuff, right? But that's really how it happened. It was just out of ministry. It was out of a heart for people, and I decided to go ahead and continue writing for faith organizations. So my dad is a pastor, and we've been to church, and we know that ministry takes money, and sometimes pastors just be on the mic asking for money. I'm about to say, I'm glad you brought it, because I'm going to ask. That's going to be one of my questions, because I think a lot of organizations don't know that you can be impactful, but also, like you said, with grants and like that, and actually get money for that
Yeah,
impactful thing
get
you're
your
looking to
funding.
get to.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm about that little segment to the whole nonprofit thing. And I love how you said earlier, not everyone needs one.
Yeah.
No, not everyone needs one. And I tell faith communities all the time, everything that you label as a ministry is a program in the world. Your women's ministry is a women's program. Your youth ministry is a youth development program. Your food pantry.
Yeah.
You helping with food deserts and bringing all those things together. So your prison ministry is reentry. It's a prison program or whatever the case may be. So like we have this mindset of ministry within the faith community that that sacrifice has to be hard in order for it to be ministry.
Come on. That's a bar right there. That really is a bar. Because like most people, like, they think about ministry and like you got to give up. And I think CJ said it best. He said people think when it comes to Jesus that you have to be poor to follow Jesus. No, that's not the case. No, not at all. No.
But Jesus actually, because now you're about to get Jesus,
go ahead, preach.
but Jesus actually proves that by how he chose the disciples.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how he chose the disciples who have different. Yeah, they have different social classes.
Yeah.
They have different personalities. He was very intentional about who he chose to follow him so that all of us could be represented in that. To know that regardless of who you best identify with, whether it's someone who is quiet and timid, whether it's someone who curses and cuts off ears, whether it's someone, who whatever, you can still follow Christ, and whatever gift you have, as long as you're willing to give it over, you can still be effective in building the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
So, with that said, that is kind of what I really wanted to help faith communities do is to build discipleship, right?
That's good.
And we can do that because we know that faith communities are often the first people that specifically minority populations go to when they need help.
Yes.
So if whether it's food, whether it's clothes, whether it's your kids acting up, whether it's mental health.
Yeah.
Right? First thing before I go see a therapist is that my pastor needs to pray for me.
Yeah.
You gotta pray this demon out of me. Right?
Yeah,
that's just true.
Absolutely.
So they're showing up in our pews and we do not have the resources to adequately support them. Not only do we not have the resources, we don't have the education and the information. And so I definitely, especially with my boys, right, they were getting out and they were showing up to my church, right? And I'm like, listen, y'all can't be mistreating my babies. So we got to figure this out. I need you to be trained on how to be competent in dealing with someone from a different background, because culture is more than race, right?
Ooh, that's good.
But that's another thing, because culture is, there's actually 10 elements of culture: sex, sex or gender, race, and sexuality is not one of them. So everybody always thinks, when they think about culture, they think about your sexuality, your gender, or your race, ethnicity.
Right.
But that actually is not a part of the 10 elements of culture.
Never knew that.
Yes. I do that in trainings, but we're going to stick on topic.
Right.
We're going to stay on topic. Right? Pull back up for that one.
That'll be part 2.
Pull back up for that one.
Right.
But one of the things in order to support people, yes, they play a factor, but when we recognize that even me identifying as a heterosexual, cisgender, black female, I still have different cultural experiences than you. Because our family structures may be different. The way our food may be different.
Right.
How we view relationships, or how we dress, or our religious beliefs, how we speak, how we communicate. These are elements of culture. And when we understand those elements of culture, we can now be more effective in ministry, and we can also be more effective in business.
Okay.
And so that is why when I decided to write grants for churches and also other nonprofits, it was really because I recognized that the people who are receiving the big dollars did not culturally identify with the people who they said they wanted to help.
That's crazy.
And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so in one of my roles, I was a grants manager, oversaw $18 million, saw people coming in and out with different proposals and things of that nature. Absolutely enjoyed the role, enjoyed the position. But one of the things that really frustrated me was that a lot of times different school districts or different agencies or people who are in need would say, hey, do you have any XYZ who provide mental health services? And I'm like, oh, I don't think we have any of those on our Rolodex in this pot of 18 million.
Yeah.
Right? And oftentimes not, and it wasn't necessarily because the agency or did not want to fund the individuals. It wasn't necessarily that. It's what I realize is that the people who are doing the work don't have time to apply for funding to do the work. I'm too busy doing it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm too busy doing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you seen a need. You was like, you know what? I'm gonna feed that need.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? You too busy doing the work. Because if you were to apply, one or two things happen. Either they don't apply because they don't have time,
Yeah.
Right.
or they apply and it is just not good.
Oh,
It's just not good, especially because there is a rubric, there's a system, and the majority has a whole department for writing grants and proposals.
Wow.
They got a full-time grant writer. They have a development team, so that's all they do. Not if they just do. You, on the other hand, you're a team of one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
just you.
when you are submitting something, if I have to choose, and if I'm checking off a report, you gonna lose every time. And so right then and there, I realized, even though I enjoyed what I was doing in that moment, there was a calling for me to fill a gap, and that this experience is for me to understand what the gap was, and now my next space was to provide relevant connections in order to make sure that those who are serving the minority population and are a part of the minority population get that funding.
Okay.
And so that's when I started writing grants in order to fill that gap and make relevant connections.
Yeah.
So time out, because you really just.
Awesome.
I hope people didn't go over their head, because you seen a need
Yeah.
and you feel that need.
Yeah.
And I think that's like entrepreneurship 101. Like, you
It
seen
is.
it. You obviously had the skill set, you had the talent, obviously. But you seen the need, you said, let me feel that.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said you see organizations, they have a whole department that's dedicated to it. And you say, okay, well, let me help out the businesses or the organizations that don't have those departments. And and I think that's dope.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough of us are doing that. Like, because, for instance, there's a lot of people who have corporate jobs. They're in HR, they're in sales, they're in all the different fields, and you can be that person to help out that business in that field. You be a consultant.
Yeah.
You know, and I think not enough. We have a skill set, but take what you learned at 9 to 5 and put it in the work, guys.
Listen, yes, I could use an accountant. I can use a CPA. I can use a data analysis.
Can you use a real estate agent? No, not yet. Okay. They're wrong. They don't know the road.
Listen, yes, because absolutely, we need some housing for our babies.
Oh, bet.
There you go.
Bet.
Right.
Don't get me started. See, you gonna get me off on a tangent.
Listen, no, that's what's up.
So we're here.
Right.
No, but seriously though, and yeah, I wanted to fill that need, and I had a passion to do it, so I started doing it, and in my mind, I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get all of these minority owned and serving, I'm gonna be very black owned and serving organizations, and I'm gonna get them all the dollars. Like, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm out there, I'm just doing it from the heart, just like, let's go. And as I've developed over the years, I've realized that everybody doesn't need a nonprofit.
So you mind elaborating on
Yeah,
that?
please do. Please
Because it's some people let's say they have a great idea, but they're thinking in their mind, they're thinking about the profit of the nonprofit portion, not thinking about the actual mission behind the nonprofit.
And not only that, they don't have a program. They have an idea, and they have a heart.
Okay.
But there's not a program. When you're dealing with a nonprofit, and I'm going to speak from my experience, because my expertise is specifically in service-related programming, right? Yes, there are nonprofits that probably do other things, right? But especially when you're just starting off, and the demographic that I'm thinking of, like you're a party of one and coming here, you may have a story, whether you have a child that has a disability or you've been impacted by gun violence or suicide or mental health. Like usually we all have a story, and now we want to do something, right? But what is that, right? I want to provide resources. Okay, I want to, like, there has to be more than just, to that. It has to be more than just we're accepting donations and giving them away. There has to be a framework. Because a nonprofit, in order to scale, has to be more than receiving and giving. There has to be qualitative and quantitative data. You have to be able to do an evaluation. You have to be able to track how many people have you served. Who are the demographics that you served? What are their race, their sex, their gender, their zip code? And people don't think like that. They just want to give, and you can't get funding that way, and you can't be sustainable that way. And I learned very quickly that many of the people that I wanted to support did not necessarily understand the process of the business behind a nonprofit.
Tell me about that. Because I think, I've never heard that before. I know people who have nonprofits, but they never said that basically you have a business plan behind your nonprofit.
Yes.
Wow.
You have to have a business behind nonprofit, because when I tell people, the one thing that people go to jail for is misappropriation of funds. And you have to think, when you get grant funding, that is tax dollars. That's tax dollars. And so we can have all the good heart in the world, but we have to be able to tell people and show people where that money went, and it went to what we said it was going to go to. And so as a lot of times as the good-hearted people we are, we're just doing, and we're not tracking. And I found out very quickly, like, listen, y'all, I love the work you're doing. I know that it's meaningful, but we all about to sink if you can't track your data, if you can't have people fill out this survey or a sign-in sheet. You have to do that. You have to. And people don't understand that process, right? People just kind of think it's free money so I can give to the world. And it's like, but that's also the importance of having a team, right? So that way you can have somebody who keeps track of that data and all that kind of thing, which is where relevant connection comes in. Because I realized that it wasn't enough to just get people the funding. I needed to be able to support them through the process of reporting, of evaluation, of the business behind it. Because people will, sing praises because they got somebody money, but you have left them to dry and hang, because now they have money and they have no idea what to do with it. And they will never get it again because they're about to mess it all up. And that really just continues the cycle to the stigma of why blacks don't get funding. Or why grassroots organizations don't get funding, because see, I gave this person funding, they done messed it up, I don't have no report, they Mind you, I have no doubt in my mind that these people did what they were supposed to do, but
they didn't track it.
They didn't track it. We have something in social work that says if it's not in the notes, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Ooh.
And that's how it is with nonprofit.
So, and basically, what you offer full service. We're talking about you're able to help track, you're able to help write grants, you're able to fully encompass to help a person. Not saying scale, because I'm not turning the business, but same idea.
Absolutely. You scale your nonprofit. I tell people all the time, like, we have all of these ideas, but what's your hit single? What's your hit single? Because when you turn on the radio, I don't care how bomb Beyonce is, she only got one song on there. Right? And then you, because you love her, you can go pick up her CD, or not CD anymore. You can go pick up, whatever it is, because you are so in love with that one song that you know that the other songs have to be bomb, right? That's how your nonprofit should be. Like, what's your hit single? Is it mentoring? Is it this? It can't be all of that. It gotta be one thing. And you do that one thing good, that now gets you in the door. And people are like, well, what else do you do? Well, let me tell you. This is what else we do. Right? You're sitting there just all these ideas, and the funder's like, oh, Lord, they don't know. This is just vomit on a plate, right? And so I'm like, let's reel it in and let's get funding. Let's really dive into your hit single. Let's play that thing on the radio. Let people know you for it. And then because they know that you are dope, they're going to go get your album, right?
Wow.
And now you have
like
that anticipation.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Yeah.
I think the best simplification of that right there.
Yeah,
like,
that was a great.
No, that's a great example right there.
And that's what we do. We help you identify your hit single. So a lot of times people think about grant writing because I'm gonna do something else out here. Like grant writing is not free. Okay, you don't. It's not based on you getting the grant. It's not based on how much you get. It is a skill. It is time. It is talent that you have to put in whether you receive that funding or not, right? Because in the same way, especially for me, and this is for all grant writers, but specifically for me because I know I definitely go. I'm more than a grant writer. I'm a relevant connection.
Woo.
But I also do program development. I do program development, which means usually when you go to a grant writer, you are to give them like everything. You're supposed to give them kind of what your idea is, what your curriculum looks like, and their job is really just to put it on paper to make it sound nice. The individuals I'm working with and who I enjoy working with, they're just coming with listen, this is what we do and this is how we do it. They don't have necessarily a structure of how it works within a grant, which means I'm developing your program. I'm identifying that this is going to be 6 sessions because you can't, even though you do it on and on and on, your program can't go on and on and on. You have to have a beginning and an ending to the program in order to have a metric. So even if you decide, I'm going to do this for 2 years, well, the cycle is every 8 weeks. So that's your cycle. Like you have to think of those things, right? And so we help you actually contemplate that because what happens if somebody isn't in there for 2 years? So then you have no kind of data from the person who was in there for 8 weeks. So you have to structure your program in a way that you can collect data, that you can show progress, and you can show like something, right?
Okay.
And so part of what we do is that process. We help you develop that thought process. We help you put together what it looks like so that when we're writing the grant, it makes sense.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
So I have a question.
Tell me.
So say I have an idea for a nonprofit, right? I have not only do I have an idea, but I already have a curriculum in place. I already have I've already have some data, some statistics for you, that good stuff. What do I need to have in order to come to you and say, hey, Chard'e, I have this in place? What do I, as a person who wants to have a nonprofit, need to have in order to work with you?
So you want to have at least 3 people who are on your board. So you need at least 3 people to start a nonprofit. And then, the other misconception is that you as the person who's starting it owns the nonprofit. You do not own the nonprofit because it's not a for-profit business. The community owns the nonprofit, and technically your board president owns that nonprofit.
Okay.
Which is why you want to choose 3 people who you fully trust.
Yeah.
So I got my mama.
Well, on the record, you cannot have people who are in the same household than you and some level of relative.
Okay.
So there is kind of like some parameters.
Okay.
That,
So my mama can't do it. I got you.
Okay.
But you want to identify those 3 people because they literally can vote you out the next meeting.
What?
They literally can because that's part of their job. They have to vote through everything, which is why. Before even getting there, which I know I'm not completing, I'll complete the answer to that question.
No, I got you.
Okay, so you want to have 3. You want to have 3 people, right? We want to be able to identify kind of like what your main objective is. Like, is it youth development?
Okay.
Is it housing? Is it education? Like, just like in a business? What is it? Yeah.
Okay, I got a question. So let's say the pull-up wanted to have a nonprofit. You'll teach people how to make podcasts, right?
Right.
Steve, Michelle, Brittany, you know what I'm saying? We come together. That's something we can do. We teach the youth. We go to high school. We teach the youth how to make podcasts.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what I would say. So this goes back to what I was going to say anyway. The question is, do I want a nonprofit or do I want to partner with an agency to provide a program for the community?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Because a nonprofit is a whole business in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying, hey, I have this skill and I have this gift and I want to share it with the community at a discounted or no rate to them, who else, the question is, who else is doing something similar to what you are doing or has access to the population that you want to serve? And partner with them. We talked about collaboration earlier. Partner with them to say, hey, I have this, right? And say, okay, you're already a nonprofit. You already have ages XYZ. You already have these people. They don't have programming, but they have dollars for programming. And if they don't have dollars for programming, they're a nonprofit, which means we can write a grant for them to get dollars in order to have you.
Okay.
So now you don't have to have a full nonprofit. You just have a program.
That's dope. That's dope.
And many times, many times, I'm gonna look right in the camera.
Please do.
My brothers and my sisters. Many times, your heart has a program. It does not have a nonprofit business. So I implore you to find others who are serving populations that you have a heart for and offer them your program. Do not start a nonprofit. Do not start a new business.
Bars.
Collaborate, empower, and be a relevant connection.
Titles. We got like 3 titles now.
Right. But that's it. There is a difference between a program and a nonprofit agency.
Okay.
Yes, there's a difference between a service and a nonprofit agency. And so I realized this. I said, listen, I realized this. Ding. And so we actually have a nonprofit aspect called Legacies Empowered. And so what Legacies Empowered is a collaboration of organizations and community members who share the same mission to decrease generational barriers by providing culturally competent services to underprivileged populations.
That's dope.
Okay.
So now we've created a collaboration, a coalition that allows for individuals or organizations to provide their program through Legacies Empowered and receive funding for it.
Ooh.
Okay.
So the pull up, we can be part of that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And so now the pull up can say, hey, we want to do XYZ. So Legacies Empower, in partnership with the Pull Up Experience, will offer podcast training and mentoring to youth ages and then it goes on. Legacies Power is a collaborative membership where organizations and members come together aligned with this mission. Pull Up Experience is a member of this coalition.
Okay.
All right.
You heard it first.
And then now you create the narrative.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, look at this. Oh, I get excited. Hold on. Look at this. So now when we're writing it, right? When we're writing it, because Legacies Empower is a coalition and we're writing it, when we talk about number of people served, when we talk about demographics, when we talk about programs, it's an agency. Because you're just a program there.
Right.
We also have Healing with My Homegirls. We also have, different other types of programs. I don't put nobody on blast just because, I didn't get a disclosure. But we have other programs that now align to that. So when we're creating the narrative and they ask, well, how are you going to get your referrals? Or who have you worked with before? Legacies Empower has worked with this. So we are expanding in order so it just makes everything makes more sense.
Right.
And then not only that, it makes my life easier.
That's what we want.
Because all these people coming to me trying to get me to do their reporting and their data, and I'm just like, ooh Lord. But now with everybody here, it's all just right here.
Right.
It's all just right here. We just go boop, 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 right? And then I can support in kind of a one-stop shop, but also we can support now because what you have, somebody else may be able, in another program may be able to support, right? And then vice versa, because you're like, well, I'm not really sure where I can go, and I'm like, oh, well, such and such has this program here. Let's see if you can, because Legacies Empowered is already there. So now we'll just offer you 2 programs instead of the 1, or whatever the case is. And I really like to do cycles. I always do 6 to 8 week cycles. So you would just, that'll be the second cycle. But that's how it works.
Listen, you were educating us tonight, because I didn't know about the program thing. I just thought it was for-profit, non-profit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know it was levels to this. It's levels to this thing.
There you go.
Know?
Yes. And all of this comes with so when we talk, once again, more than a grant writer, a relevant connection, because this comes with the consultation. This comes with being able to, okay, what's the idea? So you may come saying, I want to do this. We're going to sit down and really talk about this. Like, hey, what do you want to look at? So it's not just sitting there typing a paper. It goes back to the development, right?
Good.
Like, we're developing this thing. When you say you want to do a podcast, how many sessions is that? What are you actually looking at? How long is it? What are the measurable goals, right? Okay. How will we be able to say that they learned something? What's the outcome? And I tell people I'm a create and present type of person. So you give me the ingredients, I can make the meal.
You dropping bars, man.
You give me the ingredients, I can make the meal. And so we're going to sit down, we're going to talk, you're going to spill your guts out, give me all that passion, and then you're going to leave and I'm going to start typing. And then I share with you what I've typed, and then you just edit it based off of it. If I say you're going to reach 75 people, you say, well, I think it's going to be 50, or you know what, we can do 125. Okay, just scratch, but the narrative is still there. If I say it's going to be 6 sessions, you're like, well, really it should be 8 because we really should do da-da-da. All right, well then scratch, just put 8 there, but the meat is still there. And you get to walk away with that meat.
No, listen.
You get to walk away with it. So of course you're going to pay me ahead of time to get all that together.
So listen, and I'm looking at the camera. All you Instagram gurus out here talking about nonprofit this, nonprofit that. She is killing the game right now. Y'all, and I love it how once again you educate. You were literally, this is like a math class right here, because I'll get on Instagram, I'm like, dang, is that easy to have a nonprofit? You know what I'm saying? Like, but you ain't never lie. I feel like they're gonna be on some real Wesley Snipes stuff, be in jail, because they make it seem like nonprofit. You know what I'm saying?
Going to jail today.
Yeah, right. They're like, like so easy to have a nonprofit, then for the nonprofit you do this or whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it.
And there's definitely what's being said is factual, but there's always levels. It's just like anything else in life. There's levels to it, and you have to be able to ask yourself, like, okay, what is it that I really want? Like, does this really make sense? You know, because for me, it made sense to do a nonprofit because of whatever, and then for somebody else, it makes sense to do a nonprofit. You know, if I'm talking to somebody who wants to open up a counseling center, and the population in which they want to serve is underprivileged, I'm like, well, you need to make your counseling center a nonprofit, because the people who you want to serve can't pay you, or they're gonna be underinsured or non-insured.
Come on.
So it should be a nonprofit, and that's not a program, that's an agency. So all right, let's do that, right? But if somebody else says, well, you know, I really love hanging out with girls and I want to do a mentoring program. You saw how you just said that? Mentoring program. Find a nonprofit and offer your services. Because a mentoring program is a program. Unless and mind you, it may grow to be something else, but don't jump the gun, right? Like, utilize the work that you're doing with other people and go from there, and because it does grow, because I'm sure Boys and Girls Club started off as just a mentoring program, right? So those things are there. So it's not saying like don't ever have a nonprofit, but if you realize there's a lot of certain catchy words out there of people having different types of nonprofits and programs, and some of them are really flourishing and doing amazing, but others are just like real stagnant, and it's because it's a service that's needed, but the nonprofit portion is not. And so I would just recommend that you find someone who has the population you want to serve, and partner with them. So either they're providing you money, or what you most likely would need to do is say, hey, I would like to offer you a service. If I was able to get funding, would you allow me to do it here? So now when I write the grant for you, We can get a letter of support from that organization. I can do demographics and research on that specific population. I can add them to the proposal to say, this is where we are, this is who they serve. I'm sorry, I'm probably getting too deep, but it makes it just makes sense, and people just don't. My brothers and my sisters, do your program with an established nonprofit. Don't build an agency. All right, come see me first.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. So I got a question for you.
Yes.
So, shout out to my boy Brian. He's been a couple episodes co-hosting. And one question he asks our artists when he's on here, he asks us, what helps you stay motivated and what helps keep you supported in the moments when you get frustrated, overwhelmed with everything you got going on? Because entrepreneurs, it's going to come. It's going to come. You're going to get overwhelmed with clientele, you're going to get overwhelmed with workload, you're going to get overwhelmed. Yeah. What keeps you?
So, once again, I have to credit the boys at the Juvenile Correctional Facility for really being my conscious and being, because I come from a middle class family, 2-family home, things of that nature. I am not cool. I am not hip. I am not, I don't catch no vibes. Like, I just don't, right? And so when I went into that space, when I talk about the differences of culture, even though these young men, 92% of them had black mothers, right? Mm-hmm. And we were supposed to be able to share in the moment. They had a totally different culture than me. Mm-hmm. Totally different. And so what drives me is knowing that organically I had something in me that allowed for people that are a part of a trauma-filled community to still resonate with me and allow me into their life.
That's good.
And because of that, I cannot be the only one that knows how to do this. I have to share. I have to find a way to either teach other people this or support others who share the same passion and the same skill to have funding in order to support that population. Okay. So it's like, there's no way. I can't touch everybody. I can't reach everyone. So I cannot be selfish knowing that there's another generation of my babies out there who need another me. Right? And so because of that, I've committed myself to offering different professional developments to higher education facilities, clinicians, and things of that nature, so that I can teach them and share with them how to be culturally competent, how to be able to utilize their clinical skills in order to reach vulnerable populations that are diverse or that have been impacted by trauma, or write grants for individuals who may not understand the big, business part of grants in nonprofit, but have the heart, have the experience, and have the compassion to be able to kind of blend with them. And so for that reason, I'm like, you can't quit. Like, you can't quit. You got to keep going. Yeah. Because then that's just selfish.
Yeah.
It's selfish. It's selfish.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then, I got to make sure that all the little boys out there are what they need to be, so that when Addie Joy gets older, I'm like, man, I should have wrote a grant for you, because then you would have been okay. But no, that's it right there.
No, and that's a great motivator, because I mean, I feel like we all at moments. I know, Lord knows, I'll be overwhelmed time, and like you said, I feel like there should be a motivational point or something that keeps you going in moments when you don't feel like going anymore. So that's a great one there.
My babies.
No, okay. So we talk about the past, talk about the present.
Yes.
Talk about the future.
Yeah.
What's next up for you in Relevant Connections?
So what's next up is I really want to figure out how to package my brain, and that sounds. I am not a social media person. I am not like an influencer, or I'm just not.
What? Come on now. You are. I'm about to say.
Shortchange yourself.
Bless the Lord. So, I have a lot of personality.
Yes.
However, it's just I don't know how to translate that.
Do it right
now. Okay, we're gonna cut this part out. Okay. No. So I say that to say my next. Hold on.
Yep.
Okay. But like for real, y'all, I'll be like, yo, it's too hard. Okay, anyway. No, but really. So my next step for Relevant Connection is really to figure out how to package the information that I know in order to share it so that it flows more effortlessly. Because right now it's directly attached to me, which means I have to be present, which means I have to be the one presenting. And so figuring out, how is it that I can be more effective in getting, workbooks together.
What's like a course? Courses.
That's
dope. That's dope.
And so that way more people can have access to it without me having to be right there.
That's dope.
Definitely.
I would definitely buy that, by the way. If you had like an online course, like to have in chapters and all that good stuff, so I can go back and rewind if need be. I can see you doing that. That'd be a dope course.
I received that. So prime example is like things that I shared today, like really diving in and having an online course where you can go on my website and kind of, I will only make them like 15 to 20 minutes because I don't know about y'all, but I don't be listening to stuff for a long time. And I think that will also help people like actually learn them too.
Yeah.
And like just nuggets, like it's going to be called like Relevant Connection to the Point. And then it's like boom. And it gives you nuggets. And then maybe there's like a worksheet or something like that to have. So, figuring out those things and putting my brain on paper is definitely something that I strive to do in the future. So that'd
be dope, like a grant writing course or something like that. Like because
that
once again,
big ticket.
Shame on you. Shame on Instagram. Because you, like I said, I have got so many times buying courses where it would be like 4 pages, and I'm like, that was the whole course and whatnot. But I think there's like to have a course that actually has value and actually will actually get you to what you're looking for and then some. Come on now, that's gonna be a great course.
That's the goal. But what I definitely want to be remembered for in the grand scheme of it all is a voice for equity. Like I really want people to think, when they think of like who has an idea or who's able to relevantly connect with.
That's a great name, by the way.
Thank you.
But it fits in so many different ways, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like you know what I'm saying?
You can plug it in a lot of different ways.
Like, because that's really what I enjoy doing, and I think it's because.
You are connected because you connect with this is Cleveland, by the way. That was you. That was you.
But that's really what I enjoy. Like when I really sat down, because I didn't know what name to have and all that kind of stuff. When I really sat down and I really thought about it, like somebody asked, so pause. Somebody asked, like, hey, well, what is your name going to be?
You've been on Angel. That's Angel's thing. I remember Angel be like, pause.
Move that thought this way. I'm coming back to you. But like, what do you want to do? And I remember I was just like, I just want to like connect people, but it has to be like actually meaningful.
Yeah.
Like because so many people just come together or they just do things and there's no real purpose. And I think that is why a lot of times here in Cleveland, when we talk about what is it like to engage with each other, to support each other, oftentimes we're coming together, but there's no real takeaways or there's no real movement. And so what you have is a room full of doers and a room full of social medias. And the doers are annoyed, like, okay, so what are we about to do? And the social medias are just like, oh, it was cool. Look at the pictures. And so eventually the doers are going to fade away.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be in their pocket doing. I'm a doer. I stay in my little corner and do. Right? And I think it's because when we come together, there has to be what is the next thing? Like, what are we coming together for? Like, what is the purpose? And mind you, if it's just to have a good time, by all means, let that be the purpose.
Right.
To have that. Please, by all means, absolutely. But when we really talk about what collaboration looks like, collaboration and using Angel,
come on.
Oh man, dang girl, I'm so sorry. Success is a collaborative sport. No,
yes. Collaboration is a collaborative sport.
I'm so sorry.
The one has got us, y'all.
Scratch this out because I cannot let my girl know I did not have her stuff. She's gonna be like, girl, what?
collaboration is a collective sport.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
Angel, I'm sorry.
It ends with a collaborative sport.
Yes.
So collaborate can't be in the beginning because it ends with it's a collaborative.
Yes, you're
so
right.
something is a collaborative sport. Don't put any of this in there. Y'all edit, right? Please tell me y'all edit.
Yes. Of course you do.
I'm sorry. Is this live?
Yeah, no, you good.
I'm so sorry.
This is a great episode.
I'm so
But we get what you're talking about, though.
I'm
You know.
so sorry.
No, you're good. The sweet wine gets every time, y'all. Like
I'm
I
so
promise
sorry.
you, do.
I'm really about.
What's she doing with this?
I'm really about to ask Asia what it is. But anyway, so yes. All of that to say, just come together with a purpose, be relevant in how you're connecting, and my future. I want to be known. So that's what I'm gonna come to that. Back to that thought. I want to be known for being able to offer people equity of care. You know, like and making sure that it's competent to who they are. And so when someone thinks of Chard'e, they think of, oh man, yo, we somebody thinks of me, they're like, oh wow, like we need somebody who can figure out how to make this make sense for a population that we just can't seem to get.
Yeah.
We need Chard'e. We need a relevant connection. Like that's what I want people to be known for. And then, you know, when the day comes where I move on and I'm an ancestor, I want them to be able to download or pick up a book that now has whatever it was that I would have said or I would have done. And even though, and I say this in my trainings, even though I identify my work has been specific to the Black community, I'm very, very intentional about making sure people understand the principles.
Yeah.
The principle of what I'm saying can apply to any demographic. The principle of what I'm saying can apply to any population in any situation. So take the example, laugh at the example, whatever with the example, but don't miss the principle and how you can apply it to your life.
No, that's good.
Awesome.
Elevation is a collaborative sport! Angel! Yes!
Yes, thanks, Steve.
This is live. Hey,
No, that's good.
I don't know.
You'll find out.
Okay, and I this next question I feel like I got to answer to, but I want to ask anyway. When it comes to the stigma of our city, unfortunately, the stigma of us not coming together, you are evidence that is not the case, right?
Oh.
No, absolutely, because you know what I'm saying. Because once again, you have got us connections or whatnot, relevant connections.
All right, there you go.
And we appreciate that. But how do you feel like how can we get the whole city to be on that same collaborative effort?
The whole city?
The whole city, because you know
All of them.
So listen, we had Irene on Sunday. Irene said something I thought was profound. She was saying the Atlantas, the New Yorks, the Californians. The reason why everyone thinks they come together because they have a large demographic. As everyone knows, Cleveland is a small big town, right? But I don't see why we cannot be like those other cities. So, in your opinion, what do you think that we need to do in order to get on that same level?
So one, I do think that things always appear different when you don't live there. Okay. So I do think that I do think that even though these other places may have collaborative situations, if we were to go there, they would probably say the same thing about their space. Right?
That's good.
So with that in mind and comparing and moving forward with that understanding, I think what we can do in this city is to understand and acknowledge your own circle and space of influence and collaborate with that, you know, and just be intentional on what it is you're collaborating for. And I think once again, it's just that intentionality of purpose. Like, what is the purpose of us meeting? What is the barter? Like, we're talking about bartering, you know, what is that? Someone cannot barter and say, okay, I want you to come and do some pictures for me, you know, and I'm going to get those pictures in 2 days. And my barter is for you get to sit in my master class grant writing. That's not really a barter. Let me tell you why. Because at the end of the day, that person still has to implement something. They don't have anything to take away. They just have knowledge. That's equivalent. A barter that's equal would be that I get to go to their masterclass photography. Because now we bartered information.
Right.
But if he gave me pictures and all I gave him was information, that's with us being in the same kind of space. I'm not talking about it's Beyonce, Michael Jackson, right? Like we're both working on this thing together, trying to be great. That's not a fair barter because at the end of the day, you sit in a 2-hour masterclass of grant writing. You still have to now put that into action.
Right.
I have my pictures.
Right.
That's true.
And so I think sometimes when we talk about partnering and collaborating, we're not really being very intentional about what that looks like, and we're not allowing everybody to be supported in that space.
That's good.
And being honest about that, and not having ego when it's like, so what exactly are you bringing to the table? That's not just an idea or heart or passion. Because I have that too.
Right, yeah.
So I don't need your passion, I don't need your heart, and I don't need your idea.
No, but that's real though.
It's true.
That's real.
And a lot of people, that's what
the end of the road.
That's the end of the road. And so you have people who actually have tangible skill and I'm not going to say quality because I'm not saying your heart and things aren't quality, but people who have tangible things and things that can produce revenue.
Yeah.
When you're talking to us, because I'm going to say us because I'm one of those people, I'm not interested. Because, so what are we doing here? Right? And so that's what I would say. I would say be very intentional about what the outcome is. And mind you, I'm not talking about we're having a good time. By all means, have a good time.
Have a good time, right.
But if we're coming and we're doing something for business, we're collaborating to do something very specific, we need to make sure that it's purposeful and that we're also outside of our network.
Okay. Yeah.
We're outside of our network because I'm all about empowering Black community, Black businesses, and things of that nature. But in order to empower us as well, we do need allies and advocates to be within the circle in order to push it. And so a lot of times also we come and we can have the best intentions of an event, but because we had no broader circle, it's kind of like, right? Yeah. And then we can have a broader circle or invite people there, and it's like, see, this is why I don't invite nobody to nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you give those things, but intentionality, being purposeful is what I would definitely say in order to bring collaboration and elevation as a collaborative sport.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So winding down. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I believe any market, any good interview, podcast, or whatever, people should get some takeaways. And I believe there's someone who's watching this tonight and like, man, I want to do something along the lines of what Chard'e does. Young man, young lady. What advice or what are 3 things you believe they should take away from tonight's interview tonight?
Yes. If you have a passion for community or you have a passion for a specific target population, I would tell you to identify your hit single. Narrow it down.
I might retire right there.
What is your hit single? Ask yourself that over and over again until you figure it out. Okay, you got one song to sing. What is it going to be? And whatever song it is, you need to be able to sing it a cappella.
Ooh, that's a bar.
That means if no one else shows up, you can run the program. You can do everything you can by yourself.
Ooh.
That's your hit single. Okay.
That's a bar.
After you identify your hit single, I would tell you the takeaway was recognize if you want an agency or a program. Figure out if you want an agency or a program. And it's okay to start off as a program and to try that out.
And scale up.
And scale.
That's dope.
Right? So that's 2. And then the third thing is identify who in your area is serving the population that you have a passion for already. They already have access to the people who you want to offer your hit single to and your service to. So now start engaging them. Identify who they are. Start showing up to Boys and Girls Club. Start showing up to a women's center. Start showing up to a church or whatever the case is. Find who has the population you want to hear your song. And blow them away a cappella. And then lastly, come see me.
That's the most important part, by the way.
Once you got that, come see me, and we can either find a grant that we would utilize you as a member of Legacies Empowered to receive, or talk to whoever you've identified, and they would serve as what's called a fiscal agent, and we would do the grant. So then the money will go to you to offer that program. But that is what the takeaways would be for today.
Those are great takeaways.
Oh, yeah, those
are amazing takeaways.
Yeah.
So, question: how can people, they want to reach you? Where can they reach you at?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Relevant Connections. Relevant Connections,
Yes.
right? Or you can also email me. Do people do that nowadays? But you can email me at support, because I want to support you, at RT Connects.
Yes.
RT Connects, plural.org, right? So those are the two best ways to hit me up, to follow me, to shoot me a DM. Relevant Connections on Instagram as well as Facebook.
Yes, and then by the way, guys, so you guys don't go searching where I have in the show notes. So boom, right there for you.
In the show notes.
There we go. And I think we have, so Angel, we had Pastor Kyle, we had Ruthie's List on here. We had Krista on here, and now we had you. Who else do we have?
You had like my whole tribe. I'm like, okay, friends, I see you pulling up. Let me just stay back here in the parking lot.
And when we had a street on my street, you know, we had Chard'e on. When I'm like, yeah, I'm like, we got the whole gang now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Have you had Sharonda?
No,
I don't think so.
I
Unlocked Minds.
You know what? Nope. You know what? She's at the 50th episode celebration, but we have to have you on, by the way.
Okay, you got to complete that circle.
Got to complete that circle, because I'm about to say, do we miss anybody? Because we got the whole gang, you know?
Right, that's going.
No. So we appreciate you, Chard'e. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And what better way to celebrate Women's History Month, guys? You know what I'm saying? With these dope entrepreneurs.
Great, phenomenal women.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. And we can't thank you enough. So, I got to pay some bills real quick.
Yeah.
As you guys know, once again, Sunday, March 12th, we are at the 4 Bistro, guys. We're having a network event. You coming?
I'm there.
Bet. Okay, bet. Guys, listen. You guys know how we get down. Every quarter we like to have a network event, because this is the pull-up experience started with the network event, so we're not going to forget where we came from. And you guys get 4 minutes. 2 minutes for you, 2 minutes for the person across from you. You tell them about your business or what your idea is. Whether if you just started yesterday
That's
or
a
something.
relevant connection.
See, that's a relevant connection. You hear that? Relevant connection, you know?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you good. So whether you started your business yesterday or you started 10 years ago, whatever it may be, because you might find your next business partner, your next mentor, or someone just who you connect with, who you talk business with. Whether or not, if that person is the person that 2 minutes or not, cool. Move to the next person, you know? But as per usual, you guys have a good time, and we make those relevant connections. So listen, you still got time, because this Sunday we still got, I think we got 10 tickets left. Please get some. Buy one for your friend. Everything goes towards the pull-up experience. Yes, the pull-up experience. Production, yes.
All right.
It goes to a donation. Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys once again for showing up every week and coming to see great guests like Chard'e.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm waiting for the day where I don't see any views, but y'all still keep coming, so I thank y'all for that.
Thank you, guys.
You know what I'm saying? This is episode 110, by the way, guys. Like Steve said the other day, he said roll to 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, man, we on 110, we gonna be on 150 before you know it.
That's right.
And like I was saying just earlier time, like, are we gonna run a guest? No, we're never gonna run a guest, because Cleveland has the greatest entrepreneurs in the world. I want to keep saying that. So I thank you guys. I thank Chard'e being tonight. I thank Brittany for co-hosting with us tonight.
Thank you.
And so Steve behind the camera is the greatest in the world.
Hi, Steve.
Steve doing his thing. Thank you, Michelle, for once again behind the scenes producing per usual. We thank and we will wish Nakia and Marquita to get much better. So can't thank y'all enough, guys. Until next time, peace.